$50,000 a month, and she's saying, man, forget the emotions. Let's just get this bag. Let's get this money. So I want to show you guys that. Michael, can you go ahead and mute anybody if you hear any noise in the background? Thank you. So emotional versus logic trading. These are undisclosed secrets to success in this business that we have. Once again, my name is A Beach Trader, and I live a freedom lifestyle, and I want to teach everybody the same concept of having a freedom lifestyle, which is freedom of spirituality. You're free of the spirit. All right. You have a belief system that's bigger than yourself. Number two is you're financially free, meaning that you could do the things you want to do. You don't have to worry about going into the restaurant and you don't want to look on the left side of the menu because it doesn't have any prices, or it says market price. And you're like, well, why is the market price for a lobster today? Last time I was here, it was $40. This time I'm here, it's $80. What's going on? I don't want you to have to worry about that. And then time freedom. Time freedom means that you have enough time. Some people that own businesses are lawyers and doctors and philanthropists that just do this all day. They don't have any time at all to do anything, right? But they make a lot of money, but there's no time to do anything. So they take like a vacation once or twice a year, but that's not really what they want to do. They wish they have more time freedom to hang with their kids and family and everything like that. So we're talking about financial freedom, time freedom, and spiritual freedom. And that's what I want you guys to realize, the concept of everything. So psychology of trading. Now, if I told you guys, like in basketball, they say 90% of basketball is mental. And some people don't believe it. They're like, well, that guy's dunking and he's shooting threes, but everything is your mindset. 90% of everything is your mindset. But in trading, 95%. I read these books, I've been watching videos, and everybody says the same thing. In trading, 95% of your success is due to your emotional discipline. Your emotional discipline. You guys remember that, right? So overall trading success. When we think about trading in terms of psychology, this is knowing when to enter a position and when not to enter a volatile market and leave the market alone. That's what we're talking about right here. A trader is their own worst enemy when it comes to Forex, and it's a responsibility to come to terms with that. The trader is, after all, the chief decision maker, so it's up to the trader to introduce adequate measures to protect their money. That's why we have risk management. And we don't trade, if we lose 3 trades, we don't say, well, I'm just going to put the same amount that I lost on those 3 trades and win the next one. Guess what? You'll probably lose the next one too. If you keep on doing a double up to try to get your money back, you're going to lose your whole account. You're going to have to start over. So we're going to identify your trading emotions. You need to identify that yourself. Everybody's different. And we're going to talk about the 3 emotions that mean the most. All right. So your negative emotions. What are negative emotions? You guys know you got family members that are negative people. What kind of emotions do they display? Greed. Greed in trading can kill you. That's probably the worst negative emotion you could ever have. Number 2 is fear. Fear is the worst emotion you can have because you're scared to move. You're scared to get in the market. And then guess what? When somebody else gets in the market and they tell you something, you wait a second, and then you say, oh, I fear that I'm going to lose and not get this trade in. So then you push the button, but it's too late because you didn't listen to when they told you to get in. So that's fear and greed. So we're going to talk about overcoming those negative emotions, and then we're going to talk about some positive emotions. There's 2 emotions that are very positive. One is transcending, but the other one is just a plain out emotion of trading. So there's probably like really 3 emotions of trading, and then there's one, universal best thing that you could have in your brain for everything you do. So number 3 is hope. That's the third emotion, but it's a positive emotion. You're hoping for things to go good. And you're thinking that when you're in a trade, you're thinking it's going to go good. And you're thinking about, what's going to happen in the future when it does go good. And then you got the most transcending thing in the world is called love. So when you win money, what are you going to do with it? So that's where your vision comes from. You love people. You love your kids. You love your wife. You love the people around you. You love your community. What are you going to do? You love to have a nice house. You love to have a nice car. So this is what we're talking about. That love is what's going to push you to trade and to spend the time you need to get the goals that you want in life. And then experienced traders, we're going to go over the 6 keys of experienced traders and how they dominate those emotions and what do they do to get through that. All right. So identifying your trading emotions. Let's go straight into it. Everybody needs to say I'm an emotional person because everybody has some emotion. So always turn a negative situation into a positive situation. Who said that? You know, last time I asked everybody, and one person knew I did this on a late night call. It wasn't done yet, but I did a little bit of this. And it's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the greatest winner of my generation ever to play basketball. People have came after him before him, but the way that he wanted to win so bad, and that's the same attitude he has right now. That's why he's a billionaire right now. He's a billionaire right now because he wants to win so much in everything he does. People say, like, when he plays little racquetball with people or tennis or, you know, plays a chess game, a video game, whatever he's playing, he hates to lose. And you got to have that inside of you. You got to have that emotion that you hate to lose. You don't want to lose. So always turn a negative situation into a positive situation. Means even when you lose, guess what? It's not a loss. It's a learning experience. That's what you do to your brain. You say, I didn't lose that trade. I learned from that trade. Why? Because I'm not going to do the same thing I just did before. I learned my lesson. So turn negative situations into positive situations. Always remember that. So negative emotion. Negative emotions can be described as any feeling which causes you to be miserable and sad. These emotions make you dislike yourself and others and reduce your confidence and self-esteem and general life satisfaction. So this is what we're talking about here. So greed is one of these that will knock you over the head. It's an intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, and food. So people that are greedy, you know, you could tell from yourself if you're greedy. All right, you can look at your own self and say, hey, am I a greedy person? If you're a greedy person, or people say you're greedy, then you know that when you're trading, you're doing some trades out of greed. And so you got to have a cap on that. You got to look at that and be able to control that. And then fear, a feeling of anxiety concerning the outcome of something or the safety and well-being of somebody, the likelihood of something unwelcoming happening. So if you're fearing something, sometimes, you know, I call fear false evidence appearing real. So false evidence appearing real. So it's not even true, but you think that it might happen and it might be a bad consequence. So let's not get into that. And then greed. Let's go over greed. So greed, we all know they call it the deadly sin, 7 deadly sins. It turns out can be one of the most damaging emotions, which have led many traders, experienced and amateurs alike, on the path to destruction, financial destruction. It's irrational. For traders, this usually comes in the form of over leveraging, over trading, chasing the market, or holding on to trades you know should have exited a long time ago. So you keep on doing rollovers over and over and over again. That's why we say only do 2 rollovers, right? Unnecessary risk. Greed can make traders overtrade, take unnecessary risks, and quickly squander an account balance. It is important to enter the market with a specific strategy. To often, traders driven by greed will have no real strategy. So we're talking about, you know, if you're the greedy person, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're probably going to burn out a lot of accounts. You're probably coming in saying, I'm going to trade this amount, I'm going to trade that amount. But then all of a sudden you start trading 20%, 30%, 50%, 100% of your trades because you want to get back to where you were when you first got in. That's what we're talking about. So if you see yourself doing that, we got to put a cap on that. Identifying, right? The way that you can tell if you're greedy is time. Have you ever feel like I need more time with somebody? Like I'm not getting the amount. It's an intense and selfish desire for another person's time or attention. Like if you're always seeking somebody's attention, they're not giving it to you, you know, you feel like you're always interrupting people. You don't let them talk, might be a sign of that. Possessions, comparing and envying what others have, resulting in greed and more stuff. So you're looking at your neighbor's stuff and you're always like, man, I wish I had what they have. It's a form of coveting, right? It's a badge of honor that you got more than somebody else. That might be a sign that you're greedy. Power, and the intense desire to control your status, popularity, and other people. So you want to control people. You want you to be the main person in the front. You know, that's what I'm talking about. If you're that type of person, we can help you control that. So how do you overcome greed? Everybody wants to know that. Acknowledge the behavior. Anytime you want to beat something, you got to acknowledge that that's who you are. That's the kind of thing that I do. And you got to get over and you got to change, right? Think about that. It has to align with who you really want to be. You don't have to be that person if you don't want to be. Change the behavior. You got to change the behavior. Replace unwanted behavior with the behavior that aligns with the inner light of you. And then evaluate. You have to always evaluate, like when you feel like you did something greedy, you change that behavior, then you got to keep on reevaluating yourself like it's a test. You got to do that because you want a different result. So you got to test yourself and see the result that you're really getting. And then the last thing, you just need to eliminate it, period. Once you find out what you're doing in the market, you find out in your life, you just get rid of it, right? One way to eliminate greed is to start a nonprofit and make everything about other people and not about yourself, right? Other-centered people live a beautiful life and they're very happy. So let's look. Fear. Let's talk about what this fear is. It's debilitating. First of all, for Forex traders, fear can make a trader less inclined to take any risk, and you'll have analysis paralysis. You'll study so long that you never get in the market. Present in most traders is present. So everybody, most traders have this in them where they're like trading and they'll have a little fear. That's why I tell people, don't trade the money, trade the percent of your account. So you're not worried, I'm trading $10,000 on this trade. No, you're just trading 2% of your account. You just have a big account at that point, right? Least rational. So during episodes of fear, we are in our least rational headspace, making discipline an important ingredient to success. So when you're not rational and you're doing things out of not being rational, guess what? You're not going to be a good trader because trading is all about discipline. And then how do you identify that? Well, you can identify it in nature. Nature is one of the ones. It's powerful, primitive human emotion. It involves a universal biochemical response. So this is talking about your part of your brain. It's called the limbic system, and it's basically in you, and it's your lower self. It's like you acting like an animal, like a dog barks when this happens, or a cat meows when that happens. That's what you're in when you're in fear. It's just natural. It happens throughout. Then if you have phobias, people have phobias of nature. People have phobias of spiders. People have phobias of the dark, man. Just any phobia. If you got phobias of something, you're just so scared. People have phobia of like when they see blood, just when they go to the dentist sometimes. I'm just talking about if you have these phobias, sensational fear such as fear of flying. Like you're scared to be on flying, you're scared of heights. Everybody has something they're scared of, period. Or if you have anxiety, it's a feeling of fear, dread, and uneasiness. It might cause you to sweat, feel restless and tense. If you have anxiety, that's a cause because of fear. So if you have any of these things in you, then we have a way to cap that and get over that emotions, overcoming your fear. Acknowledge the behavior. Once again, change the behavior, evaluate that behavior that it changed, and then you're going to eliminate it out your book. That's it. Very simple. So let's talk about overcoming negative emotion. So overcoming greed, overcoming fear. Never use money you need. Never use money you need, right? If you're trying to pay your rent and you say, my rent is $1,000. I got $1,000, but I'm going to put my rent money on and then I'll pay my rent after I make this money. That's negative emotion, man. That don't make sense. That's irrational. So don't do that. All right. Emotional discipline versus intelligence. So one thing that I know as a trader, and I read a couple books and watched a lot of videos, and it said that if traders were good because they're super smart, then everybody that's smart would be a millionaire from trading. But it doesn't have anything to do with your intelligence. Now, you need enough intelligence to push the button and know, what pair is what when we call it out. But it has nothing to do with your intelligence if you're going to enter the right spot, if you're going to emotionally control your stuff. But emotional discipline is one of the keys. And I know when I became a pastor, there was a test that everybody had to take. It was 600 people that tried to go to the same pastor school as me, and it dwindled down to 150 people after they took this emotional test. It was an emotional discipline test, and basically it would be like if a pastor was talking to somebody and they would just start screaming at them. Or do you have problems with your wife where you scream and yell and you guys hit each other? And does your son talk to you and stuff like that? So sometimes intelligence doesn't mean that you can get along with people and you can help people. So let's always remember that. All right. Positive emotions. Let's talk about it. Positive emotions include pleasant or desirable situation responses, ranging from interest and contentment to love and joy, but are distinct from pleasurable sensations and undifferentiated positive effect. These emotions are markers of people's overall well-being or happiness, but they also enhance future growth and success. All right. Make you dislike yourself and others and reduce your confidence, self-esteem, and general life satisfaction. So the opposite is that, right? So what we want to know is, do you want to live a positive life? Do you want to be happy? That's what we're talking about right here. This is all the same thing when you're trading. If you want to be positive, you're going to have to do certain things. So hope, a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen, a person or thing that may help or save somebody. So we're talking about hope. I remember Obama ran his election on hope. He said, man, I'm going to give everybody hope again. We are down and out. The markets had crashed, and he said, I'm going to give you hope. And hope is a special word because it means that something better is going to happen in your future. All right. And then love, a great interest and pleasure in something, like enjoy very much. So we're talking about you like the money that you're going to get, right? You like the feeling you're going to have when you can pay all your bills. You like the feeling you're going to have when you can retire your wife or husband. You like the feeling that you're going to be able to pay for your child's school and college and everything like that with no problem. That's what we're talking about. So hope, you got to realize it's an inner pressure inside of you for you to have this hope, because you're fighting against your negative emotions, and this hope has to build up. You know, it's kind of like a coal being in the ground and turning into a diamond. That's what we're talking about. All right. And then it's a motivator. It motivates you so much to have this hope. It's well proven that hope is probably the number one motivator of anything. You know, just to be honest with you, just the sense of your future being better than your past is really good. It's really great thing. All right. So dangers is false security. Sometimes when we have so much hope is a false security. It's like you believe in this trade so much that you're going to put 100% and it's false security. Or you win 3 trades in a row and then you're like, well, I know I'm going to win the 4th one, because now you're all positive and you're in a different kind of time zone in your brain. You know, this is what we're talking about. That kind of thinking can get you in trouble when you're trading. And then recoup. Let's talk about recouping, right? Recouping. Then when we experience losses, traders re-enter the market with the hope to recoup those monies. This is not only damaging for our trading career, but in real life too. So sometimes when you have so much hope, you're thinking about recruiting. You're thinking about recruiting, right? And I know Maddie usually comes on at 8, but Maddie's not on today. He said he'll be back next week. If anybody wanted to know that, I just got a text. So revenge. What is of great importance is to avoid being sucked into revenge trading. So you cannot go into revenge trading. Man, I lost half of my account. I gotta trade because I believe that I can get all that half back. It's better to not even do that. That's called revenge trading. And you're chasing a trade and you're not, doing the market. You're just chasing and you're trying to do trade after trade. And what you're going to do is end up losing a lot more. So when hope is great, you have a trading plan. First of all, when you have a trading plan, you have a solid way to win. You have something that predicts the way that you trade. You have something that predicts like how much you're going to trade. You're going to have a risk management on here. You're going to have a notebook where you're going to talk about how you feel when you were trading. That's a trading plan. Then trading strategy is, how are you going to trade? I bounce trade. Some people break trade. Some people trend trade. What is your strategy, and stick with it. And then the indicator, you got to have analysis on these indicators. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing on the indicators. You got to read this stuff, because that's the only logic we have in the market. You could either guess or you can use analysis from indicators, period. And then the last thing is, you got to know the daily market news. You got to know what's going to affect the news today. If something comes out about job employment is really bad, then guess what? The United States is going to go down, period. And you got to know that. So we got a class that I teach on that. When you're going to read, there's different markets and different newses that I could put you on to where you know what's going on. You only got to look at that like one time and that's it. One time a day and that's it. All right. All right. Love. Let's talk about this love, right? It's a mindset. A positive mindset is the attitude somebody has who expects good and desires results. Visualization. Think of positive visualizing. It's a mental rehearsal. You already see the house you want. I have a friend named Paul, and he got in the business today. He put a couple thousand, more than a couple thousand, but I'm just saying a couple thousand because I don't want telling him, he put some money in there. He put some money in there, and he said, Lonnie, Beast Trader, this is all I want to do. He said, I want to buy a church for my pastor because they lost their building. And he said, man, he just wants to buy it cash. And he said, can I do that in here? And I said, yes, you can. And I put him on the game plan. I show him how he can, if he makes 8% a day on his money, and then he can get to this point. So he'll be able to do that. So Paul is going to visualize every day giving his pastor a check to buy what church he wants to buy. That's the visualization. That's the mental rehearsal that you need in this business is powerful. You got to see the future. Positive perspective. In fact, one of the greatest assets any leader can have is a power of positive perspective, the ability to see the good in any circumstance. So when you lose, you see something good. When you're up here doing educational calls and somebody says something negative to you, you stay positive. Some people that are worth $30 million, they do educational calls. Somebody says something negative and they start talking about, I'm banning this person. I'm doing, man, I can care less about anybody saying something negative. Matter of fact, somebody told me yesterday, they said, how about if you lose a couple trades? I don't care. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have no pressure when I trade. I'm trading for my own money and I'm trying to help other people make money on their money. There shouldn't be any pressure on that. So if you're an educator and you feel pressure, that's because you have a negative perspective of what would happen if you miss trades. So you're in fear. I don't want to deal in fear like that. So I'm always in a positive perspective, right? And then the dangers of though. Let's talk about the dangers of love. Loss of reality. Sometimes you can love trading so much that you trade all day. That's all you do. You lose touch with your family, your kids, you lose touch with your other businesses, and you trade all day. Because you say, why? Because I can make more doing this than anything else. So I'm just going to do this all day, every day, all day long. So you're losing reality. Reality is not trading all day. It's having a life, a relationship, a love for God, right? Living in the future. How about if you don't visualize what the future is and you just start living in the future? Well, I know I'm going to have $2 million trading. I'm going to make $80,000 a week, or a day. So let me spend $90,000 in my account tomorrow. And because I know I'm going to get $80,000 in a couple more. No, you don't count your money before it's here. You don't, the egg, what comes first, the egg or the chicken? Well, who knows? But I'm going to tell you one thing. If you live in the future, you're going to get hit over the head because you're not living in reality. You have to live in reality. And then when love is great, let's talk about that. So family supports trading. So who in here, if your family supports you trading, go ahead and hit 777 in the chat right now. I'm going to wait a couple of seconds and things. I want to see whose family supports them, right? Some people, like my son supports me in trading. My daughter loves that I trade. My brother, my sister-in-law, people love that I'm trading. People see the future and they see that we're going to be financially free forever and generational wealth is going to come. So when your family supports you, that's when love is good. But the opposite of that is you want to trade, but your wife don't want you to trade. Your wife tells you it's unreality. You're wasting your money. It's a scam. It's this. Your kids are telling me, Dad, you're wasting time. You're trying to make money in minutes. It's not going to work for you. That's when support is not good. So if you have family support in this trading game, go ahead and put 777, man, because you got love from above. That's great. Trading is beneficial financially. So when trading starts making you money and it starts replacing your job or your other income, that's when it's beneficial financially for you. And that's when the love is great. That's when you start loving yourself and you say, man, I made the right decision. I'm making a lot of money. And then trading produces good dreams. So when you're trading, sometimes I fall asleep, man. I had the best dream. Last night I had a dream that, me and Paul gave a check to his church. The time before I had a dream that I was going to get this nonprofit. I was going to become the biggest nonprofit in San Diego for feeding. That was 2 days ago. And then the person that owns the biggest philanthropy thing in San Diego, she calls me up and she's like, I want to meet with you tonight. I'm like, well, I got to do my trading education. She said, I don't care. Whatever time you get off, I'm meeting you. She met me at 9:30 and we went to the park in the car and we talked about how we're going to put everything together on the table and how she needs somebody like me. I need somebody like her. And we're going to be the biggest thing going. And we're going to be able to help the most people. When you got synergy like that, it produces good dreams. Your good dreams become reality. Trust that. Trading is helping you achieve your goals. Everybody wants to get on here. You need to have some weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals. And if you can achieve those goals, that's what we're talking about. That's when trading is working for you. So let's talk about experienced traders. Experienced traders handle emotions beautifully. They're experienced. They know how to handle the emotions. They've been there, done that. They know not to get too amped up, not to get too low on themselves. They stay in the middle somewhere. They don't trade out of greed. When you trade out of greed, you're not trading at a good percentage. You're over leveraging. And if you're a good trader, you wouldn't do that because you'll be wiped out. Aware of uncertainty. So people that are good traders, they're looking at the market and they're saying, hey, I think it's going to happen like this, but if it starts doing something different, I'm not going to be able to trade today, or I'm going to have to switch up and go the opposite of what I usually do. So there's always two ways for you to trade your strategy. There's a straight up way to trade your strategy to, if it lines up and you get a call, you hit the green button. But if the market is uncertain, you still want to trade, guess what? You go ahead and switch your whole strategy to what? The other side. Instead of doing a call when you think a call is, you do a put. Now, I only trade like that about 5% out of 100% of my trades. That's on a weird day where the market's all jacked up and I do a trade and I say, man, I need to go the other way with this trade. Never expect quick profits. Good traders never think about quick profits. It ain't about quick profits. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is a get wealthy over time business. Once again, this is not a get rich quick. So don't call your friends up and try to bless them and tell them, hey, we're going to get rich overnight. We're going to get rich in a week. We're going to double our money in a month. No, it ain't about that. It's about, this is something that will transform generations, because now you'll know how to do something on the internet. Regardless if somebody buys a product from you or whatever, you're going to be able to make money on it, period. Big difference. Takes breaks, right? People that are trading experience, they don't trade all day. They take breaks throughout the day. They only trade a certain amount. They practice wise risk management, and then prevention is better than the cure. So they try to prevent things happening, bad. And it's not like the cure to all cures, it's just prevention. That's all. So over negative emotions, they reduce the size of their trade. Instead of trading so much money, they go to 1 to 5% of trades and they keep it moving. Keep a record and a journal. I got journals and stuff. They're called the Beast Trader journals. You guys can order them off the website. No problem. You guys need to have a journal. Tell me how you feel when you're trading. Tell me what you want, your dreams and goals. You write all that down and you keep it going. A blend of analysis. You don't just look at the currency strength meter and make a trade. You got to look at 5 different things. That's why we call them a 5-point trade. Choose a strategy. You have to have your strategy and you got to stick with it. All right. And then you got to choose your game plan and stick with that. So the 6 tips to overcoming negative emotions: learn more about your fear. So the first thing is you got to find out what your fear is, learn more about it, read about it, watch videos about it, and see how to destroy it. Number 2, use your imagination in positive ways. Think about the future in a positive way. Think about making money. Think about doing the right thing. Number 3, use your brain in a different way than usual. Stop just watching videos all the time. Read a book. Read a book about trading, right? They don't even put everything in movies. I hope you guys know that stuff ain't in the movies. Stuff ain't in YouTube. Stuff is in books. Why? Because the rich people look at books and they get richer. And they know what? They know that people that are poor usually don't read. So you could put something in a book and they won't never know. Focus on your breathing. You got to deep breathe. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody do that right now. Breathe in for 5 seconds. Count in your head. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. That gets you over anxiety. Anxiety is because you have not enough oxygen in your brain. And so you tense up. So you got to breathe in 5 seconds, breathe out. Practice mindfulness. Practice things that are going to go good in your life. Practice waking up and thanking, your creator for why you're here, and think that it's going to be a good day. Start doing stuff like that. And then use nature as your therapist. That's what I do. That's why they call me the beach trader, because when I'm trading, I trade at the beach. Or you can go out to nature, or you could do whatever. You can go outside and look at a flower. You could, look at a fish in a fish tank. You can go fishing. Just use nature to be your therapist. And that's all. I want to open this up for a couple questions. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself. I'll go over a couple questions and answer session for about a minute or two, and then we're going to get straight into trading. Chris, go ahead and open up your hourglass and let's get ready. Go ahead. Unmute yourself if anybody has any questions.